Once a lively and spirited young woman, Gladys Presley transformed into a shadow of her former self as she faced the weight of family tragedies. After losing several loved ones, she channeled all her affection and hopes into her only son, Elvis. This intense bond became her lifeline, but as Elvis rose to stardom, the very fame that brought him joy also cast a long shadow over her life. The relentless scrutiny of the public eye turned her world upside down. Gladys found herself overwhelmed by the pressures that accompanied her son's success. The adoration and admiration directed at Elvis often left her feeling isolated and vulnerable, while he basked in the limelight. She struggled with the harsh realities of fame, including the constant attention from fans and the media. The very love she had nurtured for him became a source of pain as she grappled with her own identity in a world that seemed to revolve around her son. As Elvis's career soared, Gladys's health began to decline, exacerbated by the stress and anxiety of living in a world that felt increasingly alien to her. The joy of watching her son achieve his dreams was overshadowed by her own feelings of inadequacy and loss. The fame that brought Elvis acclaim also stripped away the simple pleasures of life that she once cherished. In the end, the spotlight that illuminated Elvis's path cast a dark shadow over Gladys, leaving her to navigate the complexities of a life forever altered by her son's extraordinary success. Gladys Love Smith Presley was born on April 25, 1912, in Mississippi, where she experienced a humble upbringing far removed from the luxuries and fame that her son, Elvis Presley, would later enjoy. As the daughter of a cotton farmer, her early life was shaped by the struggles and realities of rural living during that time. In the 1930s, she met Vernon Presley at a church, and their connection blossomed into a romance that led them to elope on June 17, 1933. This union marked the beginning of their family life together. Tragedy struck when their first child, Jessie, was born as a stillbirth. This heartbreaking loss had a profound impact on Gladys, making her extremely protective of her only surviving son, Elvis. She poured her love and devotion into raising him, nurturing his talents and dreams. Gladys's strong bond with Elvis would later become a significant part of his life, influencing his music and personality. Her early experiences and the challenges she faced shaped the loving and supportive environment that helped Elvis grow into the iconic figure he became. Despite the challenges they faced, Gladys and Vernon Presley worked hard to provide for their son, Elvis. In 1937, Vernon was imprisoned for forgery, which left Gladys to raise Elvis on her own. This situation created significant financial hardships for the family. They struggled to make ends meet, often facing the threat of losing their home. At times, they had to rely on the kindness of neighbors and assistance from government programs to put food on the table. Gladys did her best to shield Elvis from the harsh realities of their situation, trying to create a loving and supportive environment despite the difficulties. The family's financial struggles were a constant source of stress, but they also instilled in Elvis a strong work ethic and a deep appreciation for the value of hard work. These early experiences shaped his character and influenced his later success in the music industry. The resilience of Gladys and Vernon in the face of adversity played a crucial role in Elvis's upbringing and development. Gladys gave birth to Elvis in 1935, and from the very beginning, she was deeply protective of him. This protectiveness stemmed from the tragic loss of her first child, which left a lasting impact on her. She feared that something similar could happen to Elvis, leading her to be overly cautious in his upbringing. Despite facing significant financial difficulties, the family always prioritized Elvis's well-being above all else. They struggled to make ends meet, but Gladys's love for her son drove her to ensure he had what he needed. After Vernon's indefinite suspension of his sentence in 1940, the family moved frequently, searching for stability. Each move brought new challenges, but they remained united in their support for Elvis. By 1945, they finally bought a new house, a sign of hope and progress. It was during this time that Elvis's talent began to shine through, hinting at the remarkable future that lay ahead for him. In 1948, the family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, seeking a fresh start in a new city. They settled in a public housing complex, which was a significant change for them. Elvis, still a young boy, found it difficult to adjust to this new environment. His shyness persisted, making it hard for him to make friends and connect with other children. This shyness was compounded by his mother, Gladys, who had her own fears and anxieties. Her protective nature further restricted Elvis, as she often worried about his well-being and safety. During World War II, his father, Vernon, worked at a prisoner of war camp, which added to the family stress. The war years were tough, and the family faced many challenges. Tragically, Gladys suffered a miscarriage during this time, which deeply affected her. In her grief, she turned all her attention and care toward Elvis, creating a strong bond between mother and son. This nurturing relationship would shape Elvis's character and future endeavors in ways that would resonate throughout his life. Gladys and Vernon instilled strong moral values in Elvis from a young age. They believed in the importance of hard work, respect, and kindness. Gladys, despite having little formal education, was determined to ensure that Elvis received a proper education. She understood that knowledge was vital for his future, and she worked tirelessly to support his learning. The family faced many challenges due to their financial situation, but they always prioritized Elvis's needs. They were poor, yet they made sacrifices to provide for him, showing him the value of family and dedication. As a young boy, Elvis began to help financially, taking on various jobs to support his family. This early responsibility shaped his character and work ethic. He learned the importance of contributing to the household and the pride that comes from hard work. These experiences not only helped the family but also laid the foundation for the strong, determined individual he would become. The lessons learned during his upbringing would stay with him throughout his life, influencing his music and his interactions with others. At 15, Elvis had a strong desire to play football, a sport that excited many young boys in his community. He dreamed of running on the field, feeling the thrill of competition, and being part of a team. However, his parents, Gladys and Vernon, were deeply concerned about his safety. They had seen the risks associated with the sport, especially after a tragic incident where a boy lost his life due to a football injury. This event left a lasting impression on them, and they worried that their son could face similar dangers. Elvis, who was known for his close bond with his mother, listened to their fears. He understood their worries and wanted to make them happy. This showed not only his obedience but also his caring nature. He decided to quit football, putting his family's feelings above his own desires. This decision reflected the strong influence his parents had on him during his formative years. It was a time when he was still figuring out who he was, and he valued the love and protection of his family. Elvis's choice to step away from football marked a significant moment in his teenage life, highlighting the importance of family and the sacrifices he was willing to make for their peace of mind. As he moved forward, this experience would shape his character and the way he approached challenges in the future. In 1953, Elvis Presley's journey into the world of music began with a heartfelt gesture for his mother, Gladys. He recorded the song My Happiness as a birthday gift for her, marking the first step in what would become an extraordinary career. This personal moment was significant, as it showcased his deep affection for his mother and his desire to share his voice with her. Just a few years later, at the age of 19, Elvis experienced a breakthrough when his song That's All Right was played on the radio. This moment was pivotal, as it not only introduced him to a wider audience but also set the stage for his rise to fame. Gladys, who had always been a source of support for Elvis, felt a mix of pride and fear as her son began to gain public attention. The rapid changes in their lives were overwhelming, and she worried about the impact of fame on their family. Despite her concerns, she celebrated his success, knowing that Elvis was destined for greatness. The early days of his career were filled with excitement and uncertainty, shaping the man who would become the king of rock and roll. Elvis Presley's rise to fame brought significant challenges for his mother, Gladys. She struggled deeply with the overwhelming attention that surrounded her son. The constant presence of female fans made her uncomfortable, as she felt a sense of jealousy and protectiveness over Elvis. This attention was not just a fleeting moment, it was a constant part of their lives, and it weighed heavily on her. The family's move to Graceland, which was meant to be a new beginning, only intensified her feelings of despair. In this grand mansion, she felt isolated and cut off from the normal social interactions she once enjoyed. The walls of Graceland, while beautiful, became a prison of sorts for her, amplifying her loneliness. To cope with these feelings, Gladys turned to amphetamines and alcohol. These substances provided a temporary escape from her emotional pain, but also led to further struggles. Her reliance on these coping mechanisms highlighted the toll that Elvis's fame took not just on him, but on those closest to him, particularly his mother. The pressures of fame created a rift in their family dynamic, leaving Gladys feeling lost and disconnected from the world around her. Despite his immense fame and success, Elvis Presley remained deeply devoted to his mother, Gladys Presley. This devotion was evident in the way he provided for her, often going to great lengths to ensure her comfort and happiness. One notable example of this was his purchase of Graceland, a grand estate in Memphis, Tennessee. Elvis bought Graceland in 1957, and it was intended to be a luxurious home for his parents, Vernon and Gladys Presley. The estate was a symbol of Elvis's success and a testament to his love for his family. However, despite the luxury and comfort that Graceland provided, it also had a profound impact on Gladys's life. The isolation and loneliness of living in such a large estate took a toll on her, and she began to struggle with depression and anxiety. Elvis's constant touring and performing schedule meant that he was often away from home, leaving Gladys to her own devices. This, combined with the lack of social interaction and the pressures of being the mother of a famous son, contributed to her feelings of loneliness and disconnection. Gladys also began to struggle with prescription drug use, which was often prescribed to her by doctors to help manage her anxiety and depression. Elvis, however, seemed to ignore this issue, focusing instead on providing for her material needs. He showered her with gifts and luxuries, hoping to make her happy, but he failed to address the underlying issues that were affecting her mental health. Elvis's devotion to his mother was also evident in the way he handled her drinking problem. Gladys had always been a heavy drinker, and Elvis often turned a blind eye to this issue, hoping that it would resolve itself. However, this only served to enable her behavior, and her drinking problem continued to worsen over time. Despite this, Elvis remained committed to caring for his mother, and he continued to provide for her until her death in 1958. As Elvis Presley's career began to soar, his mother, Gladys, faced a serious decline in her health. She suffered from hepatitis, a condition that caused her great pain and discomfort. Despite the wealth and success that surrounded her son, Gladys expressed deep misery. The joy of Elvis's rising fame was overshadowed by her struggles. The bond between Elvis and his mother was strong, and her declining health weighed heavily on him. In 1958, when Elvis joined the Army, it marked a significant turning point for both of them. This period was particularly hard for Gladys, as she felt the absence of her son deeply. Sadly, her health continued to deteriorate, and she passed away on August 14, 1958. This loss profoundly affected Elvis, leaving a lasting impact on his life and career. The combination of his mother's illness and his military service created a challenging time for the young star, shaping his emotional landscape in ways that would resonate throughout his life. Elvis was deeply affected by the death of his mother, Gladys Presley. Her passing left a void in his life that he never truly filled. The bond between them was incredibly strong, and her loss brought him immense sorrow. Elvis often spoke about the profound love he had for her, and this grief shaped much of his emotional landscape. At her funeral, he made sure that her favorite band played, honoring her memory in a way that reflected his deep affection. This act was a testament to the love he held for her, even in her absence. After her death, he continued to show his devotion by maintaining her grave with fresh flowers, a ritual he upheld until his own passing. This consistent act of remembrance highlighted how much he cherished her, and how her memory remained a significant part of his life. The impact of her loss was a constant presence, influencing his music and personal life in ways that were profound and lasting. Elvis inherited many traits from Gladys, which shaped his personality and lifestyle. One of the most notable traits was impulsiveness. This characteristic often led him to make quick decisions without fully considering the consequences. Alongside this impulsiveness was a strong need to spend money. As Elvis rose to fame and fortune, he found himself indulging in various luxuries and excesses. This behavior mirrored his mother's struggles with control and moderation. Gladys had her own battles with excess, and it seems that Elvis, in many ways, followed in her footsteps. The lavish lifestyle he adopted included extravagant purchases, from cars to jewelry, reflecting a desire to enjoy life to the fullest. However, this overindulgence also brought challenges, as it sometimes led to financial strain and personal issues. The connection between Elvis and Gladys highlights how familial traits can influence one's life choices, especially in the face of fame and success. The legacy of these traits continued to impact Elvis throughout his career and personal life. Elvis frequently spoke about his mother, Gladys, with his future wife, Priscilla. He often noted a resemblance between them, which deepened his connection to both women. Gladys was not just a mother to Elvis, she was a guiding force in his life. Her influence shaped his character and values, and he carried her memory with him throughout his career. Even as he rose to fame, he remained close to the lessons she taught him. Gladys passed away in 1958, but her impact on Elvis did not fade. He continued to honor her memory in various ways, reflecting on their bond in interviews and conversations. This connection was so profound that Elvis died on the same date as his mother, August 16, 1977, exactly 19 years after her passing. This coincidence added a layer of poignancy to his legacy, as it underscored the lasting influence Gladys had on him. Their relationship was a cornerstone of his life, shaping not only his personal identity, but also his artistic expression. At Graceland, the final resting place of Elvis Presley, a poignant scene unfolds. Elvis, along with his beloved parents Gladys and Vernon Presley, are buried side by side. This arrangement speaks volumes about the deep family bond that defined Elvis's life. From a young age, Elvis was known for his strong attachment to his mother, Gladys. Their relationship was marked by love and devotion, and it shaped much of who he became as an artist and a person. Gladys was not only a guiding force in his life, but also a source of inspiration for his music. Vernon, Elvis's father, played a significant role in his upbringing as well. The three of them shared a close-knit family dynamic that remained intact throughout Elvis's rise to fame. Even as he became a global superstar, Elvis never forgot his roots or the values instilled in him by his parents. The decision to have them buried together at Graceland symbolizes Elvis's loyalty and commitment to his family. It serves as a reminder of the importance of family ties, even in the face of immense success and public adoration. The gravesite has become a place of pilgrimage for fans who come to pay their respects and reflect on the legacy of a man who cherished his family above all else.